Hello, it's that time again. Get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. Stay tuned. Hello, Hamilton. Welcome to the Just Ask Bob show. I am your host, Bob Assadourian, and yet we kick it off with another viewer's email today. Hello, Bob. We have about 15 fence holes to bore to replace all the fencing in our backyard. Can you do a show on fences? Oh, and Bob, can you please tell us what resources we can use to find a reputable contractor? This is from Tom in Hamilton, Ontario. Tom, we did have a job site some time ago. We have the footage. We used a heavy-duty machine. We bored the holes into the ground. We went through the posts. We went through the rails, fence boards, everything, beginning to end, and that's all on today's show. Now, just to explain for a moment, there are two ways to do it. You can rent what's called a two-man post hole digger. Now, you know, if you got a couple of posts to do, 1, 2, maybe 3, that's fine. You've got a good sized area here at 15 posts. I assume it's the entire backyard. It's going to break your back using the physical machine. I suggest you rent some heavy duty machinery, bobcat with an auger attached to it, like we did on this job site. It will make the job much, much easier. Now, it's still a difficult job. There's a lot of concrete to haul. There's mixing to do. It takes some carpentry skill, but as a family-oriented DIY project, no problem at all, Tom. It can be done. Now, the second part of your question regards to resources, how to find a good contractor. You know, I talk about this all the time. You have to find the contractor that is good for you and your home. Always, always go with your gut instinct. During the estimating process, torment the contractor. Ask questions. Ask for revisions to the quote and keep asking more questions. If you find you're trying his or her patience, then move on. Because if the contractor's getting impatient during the estimating process, imagine what kind of problems you can have with them on the job. Now, a couple of resources off the top of my head. Licensing. Very, very, very important. For the homeowners at home, I want you to please zoom in here. Focus in on the license. Very, very important. Our municipality has the license and they ask for the license. Master building repair, the most important tool in my toolbox. Besides the license, you want to make sure that your contractor offers you at least a dozen references. Never mind the old saying of 2 to 3 references. They can be faked up and phonied easily. Ask for at least a dozen. You also want to check that he's licensed. Again, the licensing we just discussed. Insurance, that's twofold. WSIB, Workplace Safety Insurance Board coverage, in case the contractor or his employees are injured. The second insurance is contractor's liability insurance. This is in case there's damage caused to the property, especially with a job like yours. Contractor's responsibility to call before you dig. That's a provincial number. There's no charge to the contractor, so make sure he doesn't pass on any charges to you. Every utility will come down to the property, variety of spray coatings, different colors on the property. Each color is coded. Gas, hydro, telephone lines, television lines. All utilities are color coded, and there's provisions there for how close you can machine dig versus if you have to hand dig if you're too close, for example, to a gas line. Now, those are some of the quick tips I can give you. However, I do know somebody else that's looking for a contractor.
I'm Karen. I live in Hamilton. I am a past employee of the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. I needed someone to work on my house because I wanted it for my retirement. I wanted it to be ready for when I didn't have income anymore. So I decided to look through the chamber members, and I looked up contractors, found Bob at Triple R Inc. from Just Ask Bob. He has redone my house for me and my fencing, and he's going to be working on my grass shortly, I hope. The fence is for my dog I got recently, and I just want him to be safe here, and I can let him out with absolutely no worries about him getting out of the fence or anybody getting in to the fence. Hope you enjoy the show.
Today on our fence project, we are running our string lines. Your fence posts must be in the straight line and not jog out from each other. This is critical in fence building. Two ways to accomplish this: good old-fashioned string line or by using a laser. Lasers can be hard to see in direct sunlight and complicated to use. I prefer using a string line. This is a stake, very important in creating your string line. Now, if you really want to focus in here, this has holes in it. The holes will always easily take a number 8 screw. So have number 8 screws handy around the job. You're going to be hammering this in. Ideally, you're going to have one man on each end. Then you're going to thread the string. You're going to thread the string through it, knot it. Now, once you have this over a large span, I mean, this could be over 10 feet right to 100 feet. The rest is in the eye. You have to sight line it. Now, lasers are fun, but trust me when I say they can be very, very difficult to see in direct sunlight. Sometimes there's special glasses to wear. You know, sometimes it's taking things a little too far. Even a lot of the pros just stick with the string. Now, when your person on your helper on the other end is sight lining this, they'll be telling you, go left, go right. Pull it out of the earth, stake it either to the right or to the left. This is going to determine that the holes you bore are all in a straight line. Nothing worse than having a wavy fence going in and out, in and out. Now, we have a lot more footage to show you as we go through the entire process of building the fence right to the end. Well, there's Andy, Mr. Garcia, Triple R's finest. Always horsing around, but we love you, Andy. Now, believe me when I tell you, spend the extra money if you're doing an entire yard, 15 post holes plus, because this will break your back doing it with a 2-man auger. There is an expense associated with this. Make sure the company's done the call before you dig, the utilities. Again, check for references and licensing. Focus your eye on the top of the boring shaft. You see the red? That's tuck tape. We measured from the bottom of the bore, the auger, to the top. The red indicates 4 feet. So that way we don't have to constantly stick a tape measure in the hole. When we see the tuck tape red at the grade, we know we've got 4 feet. The machine's starting to struggle. Can you imagine doing this with a shovel? See how it lifts the back end of the machine? Now all that dirt has to be removed. You don't want that dirt falling back in the hole, or you're doing double the work over and over and over again. I'm going to take this moment to give a very well-deserved shout out to our landscape helpers. Finish grade, excavating, landscaping, and property maintenance. My good friend Jarek. We could have never completed this job without them. Get in touch with me anytime at all for their contact information. Finish grade, excavating, landscaping, and property maintenance. My good friend Jarek on the shovel with his brother. So you see, every time the machine comes up, we've got to get that soil out of there. And we've got to clean the auger bit itself. If the dirt falls back in, you're cleaning the hole out again, all over again. Now the machine's jamming on the utility wire there. As we start going down to get close to 4 feet, we're hitting the yellow sleeve, pulling the wire back, which pulls the sleeve back in order to allow us to achieve a 4-foot penetration. Believe me when I say, when it comes to post holes, if you don't have penetration, you have nothing. It's all about the penetration. If you're not 4 feet deep and you don't bell out the bottoms, the frost in our climate will pull your fence up. No matter what machinery you have to get in there physically. The auger will bore the hole 4 feet deep, but when you pull the auger out, you're going to get a 1/2 foot to 1 foot of soil at the bottom. There's no way around it. That's my good friend Jarek on the Clamshell Digger. He's pulling out the excess dirt inside. I'm clearing the dirt around the perimeter. The objective, to get the sonotube as close as possible to 48 inches deep. Now, we're going to give it another try now. That clamshell auger does not pull out a lot of dirt. Not a lot at all. And it's backbreaking. That's why I'm having Jarek use it. I'd say that's just 2-3 inches shy of 4 feet. Now we're sight lining it. Remember we talked about the string in the last clip? Jarek's at the end. I assume I'm a little past the beginning. And we're sight lining these to make sure they're all true and straight to each other. Now we're going to fast forward a little bit in time and we're going to stake our posts. Now we've already set these up in concrete, so we're backtracking just for the sake that we can teach you. This is very handy because this will level your post in both directions. This way, we've got it right on the bubble. This way, side to side, we've got it right on the bubble. You fasten that on. Now, these are the stakes. You want to have some 1x lumber, 2x lumber, it doesn't matter. It's very important, once your posts are level in both directions, you want to stake them to the ground temporarily so they don't move while the concrete hardens, while you pack the concrete into the sonotube. Now you want to make sure to stake it the other way as well. Now if you see the string line doesn't lie. You want to have the string line just a hair away from your posts for the entire length of the fence. Now you want to make sure your string's not caught up on anything. This is now braced, secured, level in both directions. That's how you want your post before you set the concrete. Now we're going to teach you a little bit about the rails, horizontal rails. Some fencing contractors only install 2, one at the top, one at the bottom. Doesn't matter if it's a 5-foot or 6-foot tall fence. 3 rails will give you the most structural stability on your fence boards to resist splitting, twisting, or warping. Give us a big hello, Andy. Triple R's finest, Mr. Garcia. Now on this section of fence, we have our top and middle rail installed. Andy's cut the bottom rail, which we're using a 2x6 because in some areas we may have to sledge it down just below the grade in order to make sure that rodents or the homeowner's pet doesn't get under the fence. So we've cut it a little longer than required so we can get what we call a compression fit. A compression fit ensures that you can install it without a helper. Through compression, it holds itself in. The concrete's already been poured in the sonotubes a little bit below grade. So Andy's just sledging it through the sonotube, the cardboard, and then we'll cut that out after. Okay, you want to make sure to sledge in both sides. How are we with grade? Is it pretty close to the grass all the way along? You can always add a little bit of topsoil, get the grass to grow up, create a nice tight seam at the bottom. So you can see we still have some work cut out for us. We got to get 3 rails on the rest of the sections. We've already installed the boards on the south section of the fence. We've got our work cut out for us. Stop leaning, Andy, get to work. Andy's going to show you how to install the boards. 2 screws per rail, 3 rails, 6 points of contact. All right, Andy, take it off. You want the screws nice and flush. Again, it's very important. I always build fences with 3 rails. Very little span between the fence board and the next rail eliminates warping, twisting, and splitting. It's about 60 feet of fencing there. Now we're going to take a moment to show you some of the tools we use in the footage you just watched. This is the Clamshell Digger. Now it is very useful, however it doesn't pull up much dirt. A shovel will probably pull out 3 times as much dirt, but you can't put a shovel easily into a 4-foot hole. Let me demonstrate how it works. So you have it completely open, push right into the ground, pull out and scoop. So if you can get a view in there, that's about as much dirt as you're getting. That's not a lot of earth. However, you're in a difficult area. You cannot use a shovel. But you need this because no machine, not a 2-man auger or not that beast you just watched, will clean the hole perfectly. The earth always settles back in. You've got to pull it out if you want to obtain 4 feet. Now, the spear, as I so favorably nickname this. Many of times you're going to hit an obstruction. So what you're going to have to do is get in there, get to the obstruction, jab it up, clean the earth around it. You've got to get the earth out. Second thing is, your diameter. On the show we used a 12-inch bit. So the hole is perfectly 12 inches down. Now, there's no extra width at the bottom. So at times, frost may potentially want to raise the pier. Now this could be a deck pier. This could be a foundation footing. This could be for your fence posts. So ideally what you want to do, and this is excruciating manual labor, your hole is 12 inches all the way down. You want to bore and jab all the way around in a circle and widen the hole another 4 inches or so. So you're belling it at the bottom. The hole will be up to 16 inches. Then it compresses into 12. So you've now keyed it into the earth. If frost wants to raise it, it will not easily be able to raise it. We're going to show you now the many various types of fences, types of materials used to construct them. First one up on your screen now, we're starting old school Hamilton. This is a chain link fence. Obviously this is a commercial parking lot here. However, these are the origins of fencing in Hamilton. They were chain link. They were approximately 5.5 feet tall. Not very popular nowadays. You know, times have changed. What people want now is privacy with wood fencing. This type of construction or style is called board on board. So it looks the same on both sides, equally pleasing to both neighbors, and it's got lattice on top, and it's also been stained, a nice brown color, which will prevent the wood from graying and splitting and cracking. Now we have a plastic fence. From this perspective or this angle, there doesn't appear to be a problem with the plastic. Now I'll show you in the next picture if you follow here. Again, it's a matter of visual perception here, but if you focus in on the right corner, this fence is butted up against a steel chain link fence. Now I've watched this fence over the last few years and it is leaning outward. So in my opinion, at least personally, I would rather stick with wood. The plastic fences are a bit of a fad. They look nice, but I don't believe they'll last a very long time. Iron fence, different. I wouldn't say there's much privacy to it, but again, very different. Now, the reason I'm showing this picture is because this is exactly what will happen to pressure-treated lumber, specifically in this photo, 3 to 5 years after the construction. What you're seeing on the left side is the most recent addition to the fence. On the right side, the older original section of the fence. So it will darken and it will gray over time. Staining it will help delay that. Now the reason for this photograph is these posts are 6 by 6, and again it's a corner lot. So you can see the type of construction used. 6 by 6 posts will last much longer than 4 by 4s, but you're paying a lot more. The post hole augering is more work. Maybe a little less concrete is used, but the posts do cost more on their own as well. Now, we have a fence here of sorts. This is landscaping. If you want to be creative, there are various ways you can construct a border and achieve a fence that's not going to require materials and labor. It's going to require patience. Again, we've got some creativity here. Bit of a horizontal barn board style fence. Obviously no privacy from the fence alone, but they've got the landscaping behind it. They've got the bushes. They've incorporated the two to mesh together. Now this is a nice one. This again is board on board. This has the nice ironwork at the top, so you can incorporate black ironwork with the pressure treated lumber. This is unique, this is different, depends on your taste or your design choice. Horizontal boards, obviously the rails are framed in the opposite location. Your rails would be vertical and your boards end up going on horizontal. Now the reason we put this one is because of the height. Now generally in Hamilton, the bylaw requires that fencing is 6 feet tall. This looks approximately anywhere from 12 to 14 feet tall. I believe they get away with this because it's an end unit for either a condominium, corporate complex, or townhomes. But again, a very tall structure. To support that type of structure, it looks like they've used 6x6 posts. Now, obviously, well, I shouldn't assume, but maybe these people don't get along as neighbors. But again, you know, a lot of different situations can happen with fencing. You notice how they've staggered it. Each and every section drops in height. There is a bylaw in Hamilton that whether you get along with your neighbor or not, you're not allowed to build a 6-foot wall all the way from your home to the sidewalk. Reasoning is for view or accessibility, an accessible view. If the neighbor is backing their vehicle out of the driveway, they need to have a safe view. So they've staggered it here, but obviously it does give them a tremendous amount of privacy and boxes in the property. Maybe not for everybody, this look. Now, our popular segment, Bob's Bewares and Bob's Top Picks. On our show, we're not only going to show you what to use, how to do it properly, but I also want to show you pieces of junk and crap to avoid. The building market in Hamilton is inundated with junk. Now, let's take this for example. This is supposed to, or it's not supposed to, but many contractors and homeowners use this to supplement having the auger 4 feet and having the mix and pour concrete. This will never hold. Before one season, every single one of your fence posts will start to go this way and start to go that way. Now, this is to be used in some circumstances. There was a case some time ago where the neighbor's home jogged out. Older Hamilton, the property lines are a little bit off. So once our fence came up, I didn't want to risk using the auger to dig too close to the neighbor's foundation. So just a few feet before the foundation, we staked this in to do a 2-foot jog to the neighbor's foundation. So it does have its place, but I would never use this to support an entire fence section. Maybe one end of the fence as it jogs over. So this is a Bob's Beware. Now, concrete, very, very important. And the real stuff, because believe me when I say it's heavy. Heavy, difficult to work with, it will give you a workout. Now, unfortunately, in our community, there are a great many contractors that will not pour concrete into the post holes. They'll actually put all the old earth back in for every post hole. I'm guaranteeing you, every post to the next one is going to go sideways. Now then there's other contractors that may try to convince you to only embed the end posts. So picture now, 60-foot fence, first post, last post in concrete, all the other intermediate posts, they add the earth back in. Again, that's not going to work. Every single post should have at least 4 feet of concrete in it. We appreciate you watching the show. It means the world to us. Every single show starts out with the viewer's email. Your email is the basis of every show. Largest database on the net to get a hold of us, www.justaskbob.com. Again, that's www.justaskbob.com. By the time this season is over, we will have 60 half-hour home improvement shows, probably another 60 2 to 3 minute segments. Pause, fast forward, rewind, and learn at your own pace. And if you're old school, like Bob, pick up the phone and call us. 289-649-0196. Again, that's 289-649-0196. Thank you, Hamilton. Make the kids earn their allowance. Hey, little guy, what's your name?
Nick.
You working hard today?
Yep.
Or are you hardly working?
We're working hard.
No problem. Slow down, I can't walk backwards that fast. Okay, go, go, go.